Welcome to the first ever episode of More on That, a podcast by More Media Group. I'm your host, Emily Moore, and I'm joined by our COO, Will Caves.
This is a podcast about work, life, and the places they intertwine. Each episode, we'll talk to a guest who has just a cool career or is making great things happen in their community, or just has an interesting story.
This first episode will be a little bit different than usual. We thought it would be good to introduce ourselves, let you get to know us as the host, and just tell you a little bit about what you can expect from this podcast. So without further ado, here is episode 1 of More on That.
More on That is sponsored by Community Bank. These guys offer it all, from personal and business banking to financing and wealth management. They've got over 120 years of experience, and their home base is right here in Central Mississippi.
Yeah, we can't say enough good things about the team at Community Bank. We recently moved More Media's banking over to them, and everything has been so smooth. Every single person we've talked to has been helpful, kind, and easy to communicate with. I'm so thankful to have a bank I can reach out to and get personalized support from the same day.
They've got a ton of awesome services like their secure digital banking, and if you're dreaming of finally launching that business, there's a variety of business accounts you can choose from. Their experts will help you choose the right plan for you.
We love Community Bank, and we think you guys will too. Visit communitybank.net to learn more. That's communitybank.net, member FDIC. Okay, we're here.
Here we are.
We're doing it. It's real.
I did never think we'd make it. We've talked about it so much.
Oh, no, I knew I was coming. I was going to be.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I wasn't sure I would make it.
So this is More on That.
Yes.
The podcast that I have endlessly talked about for 6 months.
At least.
Longer. Not just to you, but the whole team is probably sick of hearing about it.
Our team is going to watch this and or listen to this.
They're not going to listen.
They're not going to. Fair enough. But if they do, they're going to be like, oh, finally. They'll stop talking about it. And we're not.
It's just going to get worse from here on out.
That's right.
So we've been talking about it for 6 months, this specific podcast. I have been talking about doing a podcast for years. 1 million years ago, when podcasts got popular, I wanted a podcast. But I didn't really have a topic to talk about that I felt like was unique. It felt like the space was very crowded. There were a lot of podcasts, and I felt like I would just be adding more unnecessary noise. And so I waited, but now all those have kind of fizzled out. Not all of them, but it feels like there's room in the podcast space again. So that, if you wait long enough, you can lazy your way into getting to do what you want to do.
That's right. Well, I'm honored that despite wanting to do it, you've allowed me to be a part of it.
I thought, well, I need to drag someone else along for this ride. And if I pull Will in, we can make it a work thing and do it just during the work day. Right. And this counts as work.
That's right.
We're working right now. I like it. Well, we do need to talk about that. So it is More on That, a podcast by More Media Group, which is where we work together.
That's right.
We are business partners at More Media Group, which feels like an important part of this. So it is just the middle of the workday, and we're here working hard on this podcast.
That's correct. Ignoring all our emails and
them all.
Calls.
Do not disturb while we do this very important task of talking to people about things we want to talk about.
That's right.
So we wanted this first episode to be just us talking about each other. So we'll introduce ourselves, but first I do kind of want to explain what More on That is, what the podcast is going to be about. And then I want to hear you kind of, because I made this up and drug you into it, but I do want you to help shape it.
Sure.
So then I want to hear what you want the podcast to be. Yeah. I never wanted to start a podcast that I felt like didn't have a direction, where I felt like I was just adding noise. And I don't feel like this is a completely unique concept, but it is one that I think there's room for. And it's conversations with people who, to summarize, I keep saying, are doing cool things. They're chasing dreams. That's right. They have cool careers. They are pursuing passions. So some people may just have a really cool job, and we'll talk about their journey to getting there. Some may be working a day job while starting a business or pursuing another passion or dream. And I just think in life, there are kind of two groups of people. There are people who will go their whole lives with talking about this thing they want to do, whether it's starting a business or some sort of passion project like writing a book or playing music or traveling to a certain country. There's just things there are people that'll talk about things for years and never do them. And there are very valid reasons for that. I mean, sometimes it's time, sometimes it's finances. It's just, it's hard to do things. Yeah. But there are people who are doers, who just make it happen despite whatever obstacles are in their way. And that's the kind of people I want to talk to on this podcast. Because when I have conversations with people who are doers, I always leave feeling so energized and so inspired to go chase my own dreams. And I know it sounds cheesy, but that's the kind of people I want to talk to, is the people who are chasing dreams. If we want to say it in a less cheesy way, following their ideas or pursuing projects. But at the end of the day, I am cheesy and it's chasing dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cool people doing cool stuff. I mean, and it's also really neat to hear people's stories, because sometimes you turn around and you wonder, how did I get here? I didn't realize what I was doing was cool. I didn't realize that I was doing this thing that other people would be interested in. And you can turn around and suddenly find yourself in a really unique spot that can help people, can be a part of something bigger than yourself. And it's just neat to hear those stories.
Well, and when you hear those stories, it kind of can give you the courage to go out, like I said, and do that. Because, I mean, even though I've done several things that I've wanted to do, there are still more things I want to do. And I feel like I always walk away from those conversations remembering the dreams that I've talked about, because it's easy to push them under. Life gets in the way. You have a job, you have a family, like you have things that you have to do. And sometimes that doesn't always feel like a top priority. And those conversations make you realize, I can do this. I can make time for this. People are doing it every day. Yeah. So that's the kind of people we're going to talk to.
Absolutely.
So we need to interview each other today,
right,
because we will be the hosts of this podcast, taking people along this journey, and they need to get to know us.
That's right. Well, and here we are. I feel like you're one of those doers, and so I feel like I'm the least interesting part of this duo.
You're a doer.
Well, I do stuff. I do some fun stuff, but I feel like you are also one of those people that. I mean, you said on just here how you drug me along with it, how you kind of wanted to do this for a long time. Ironically, you've wanted to do a podcast. I have done a podcast. Yeah. I didn't really want to do a podcast. And here we are.
Let's talk about that. Let's pause right here.
Sure.
Tell your world-renowned podcast.
World-renowned.
You have international listenership.
We did. So a couple of buddies of mine, I'm a big soccer fan, Liverpool FC in England. We get up at the crack of dawn on the weekends to watch my team,
as one does,
lose right now. They're terrible this season, but it's been more fun in the past. But we kind of realized that, hey, we're texting about this anyway, and we're talking about it. Let's talk about it and record it. And so a couple of buddies of mine got together. They had been doing it for a while, and I sort of said, hey, if you ever need a third person or whatever, and we jumped in. We had a kind of a rotating roster of 5, but generally about 3 per episode.
And what was it called?
It's called You'll Never Talk Alone, which is You'll Never Walk Alone is what Liverpool says.
Yes, of course.
So you never talk alone.
Yes.
Right. We had about 5 people in America listen to us, but we had a large Scandinavian audience. It was really funny to always see those numbers.
Why is that?
Outside of England, there is a void of soccer commentary, and I think we just the name was halfway decent, and we spoke English but not British English, and so it wasn't the same old talking heads all the time. And now granted, we were not world renowned is a bit of a stretch. We had fun.
I'm going to say you had a world renowned podcast.
We did, yeah. I've done this a few times.
Yeah, I wonder if we could find those listeners and see if they'll listen to this podcast, so that we could pick up a few just right off the bat, before we make a name for ourselves.
Yeah.
Did you save that email list? You could tell them where we're at.
I can. It was more of a heat map, which that was the funniest thing. It was like we're in Mississippi. Most of us are in Mississippi or Texas or Tennessee, wherever they were, and the heat map would be kind of a smattering of the Southeast America, and then just a very dark section in Scandinavia and Northern Europe. So it was a funny thing, but yeah.
Yeah, well, have not had a podcast, but I'm excited to be here. It is something I've always wanted to do, but I do feel like this will be something that I hope somebody listens to besides Tyler and Whitney, our spouses.
That's right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
They'll listen. Yeah. I don't know who else will, but as part of introducing ourselves, we need to kind of go back to how More Media started, maybe to explain how the podcast got here.
Yeah. So tell me, More Media's been in effect or been in business for 8.5 years now.
8.5 years since 2017.
So tell me about, because I wasn't there for the beginning of it. I've only been around a short time. So tell me about that part. Speaking of you being a doer, tell me about how you did this and created More Media.
Well, I'm going to back up a little farther than that and talk, because I have to explain how we got to More Media, because it's not like it was a lifelong dream to start a marketing agency.
Right.
I didn't really set out to do that. So I'm from Picayune, small town, which is where Will's wife is from too. Right. Mm-hmm. So we were always destined to start this podcast together, even from the beginning.
That's right.
Small town called Picayune. Went to Mississippi College, go Choctaws, also where Will was.
That's right.
Again, all roads were leading to this podcast. Right. I graduated from MC, and that summer, I graduated with a degree in communications with an emphasis in public relations, minor in English writing. That summer, I had an internship in Richmond, Virginia, writing that I hoped would turn into a job, but it did not. Not because of me. They just didn't have any job openings. So I moved back home, and I didn't know where I was going to start my career. It was 2012. I think a lot of people had trouble finding jobs once we got out of college at that time. I'm going to pause on this part of my story and talk about this 1 month of my life that feels so comical and random, but also significant, that is irrelevant to the rest of the story. But for the sake of good conversation, I'm going to tell you today.
Sure.
So I moved home, couldn't get a job, was just every day applying for jobs and kind of just sitting in my parents' house like, what am I doing? One of my best friends lived in Orlando, Brooke. And so I was talking to her, and she was like, why don't you just come stay here? If you're not doing anything at home, just come not do anything here. So I was like, yeah, you're totally right. So on a whim, packed up my car, moved to Orlando, moved in with Brooke. The day after I got there, got a job at a chocolate factory making minimum wage.
I didn't know that.
It's so random. It's all so random.
It tracks.
It's all so random. So got a job at a chocolate factory. This was just meant to be the job that paid me minimum wage while I still applied for the actual career launching job. So I was at the chocolate factory and then applying for jobs. Somehow it came about that I found out about an audition at Universal to be a character at Universal Studios in Orlando. And so I was like, let me go do that because the pay was a little better than the chocolate factory. And I was like, this will be a fun experience.
Sure.
Well, I got called back, and I kept getting called back a few times, and finally to the point where I got called in to try on the costumes. And then I got hired to be a character. But the way they did it at the time was you weren't like one character. Like you were the character for your height range. So the costumes I tried on and had to like perform in. I had to do a little dance to impress the judges.
Good.
Were,
this is great.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yes.
Curious George, the Minion. I was a Minion. And then there was like a bunny. There was a movie, I think it was called Hop. I never saw it, but there was a bunny that was a character in it. And so that bunny was one of the costumes. So I got the part. Well, before I actually started, I was on the phone with my two of my best friends from college. We used to do 3-way phone calls because we missed, we had lived together for 4 years and then we're just torn apart. And so we would talk every night, and I was, they were talking about, they were both in the medical field and talking about their adult jobs and like, saving lives. And I just started crying, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm working at a chocolate factory and then getting off work and going to put on this costume. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And my friend Colby, she was so sincere. She was trying to comfort me. And she was like, but you're a bunny in a parade. I just started sobbing because I wanted to be launching this career.
That's right.
And I was having a lot of fun, but I was seeing all my friends go on, and there's nothing wrong with being a bunny in a parade, but I didn't want that to be my career. And I kind of felt like, well, if I do this, am I going to get stuck here? And then what's next? And anyway, I went back to applying for jobs very quickly. And within a week, got a job at WLOX on the Gulf Coast, which was near where I'm from. And that's how I started my career in news. So my Orlando period was brief. Who knows? I could still be SpongeBob today if I had stayed.
It's that's right. It's, do you ever grow out of being SpongeBob or like Hop or whatever?
Or
a Minion?
The Minion, Curious George.
Did you get to keep any of the stuff?
No. Because I only got to even try them on one time.
That's right.
I quit. I mean, I feel like if I had known that was going to be my last time, I might have tried to take a little something. That's know how like actors take things from the sets? But I didn't know because it all happened so quickly. I mean, I didn't know it was the last time I would put on a Minion costume. You just never know when the last time you put on a SpongeBob costume is going to be.
Well, it doesn't have to be. If you ever,
it's true.
Let me encourage you. You
I'm
could
still
do
the
this.
Same height.
That's right. That's right.
So anyway, I left, started my job in news at WLOX, and then ended up at WAPT in Jackson. Worked in news for a few years, morning news, which I loved. Was so fun. Was morning news reporter. Got to cover breaking news all over the place, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, but ultimately. Got engaged, met my now husband, got engaged, and I just knew long term it wasn't the schedule that I was going to want for my life. I was working 3 a.m. to noon, which I didn't mind at the time, but I knew long term I was going to want something that gave me more control over my schedule, more control over kind of what my work-life balance looked like. And so I ended up leaving news and hopped around for a little bit and ultimately started More Media Group. I couldn't find a place that I wanted to work. So I just said, I'll make my own.
Just make your own, yeah.
And it's grown. It was just me in 2017. Again, I really didn't set out to start an agency. I just wanted to do something that I felt like I was good at and able to get paid for kind of as a freelancer. But it grew quickly. And now, 8.5 years later, you are a part owner and you've joined the team and are running things as our COO.
That's right.
I think you can jump in here and talk about how you ended up at More Media and all the things that happened before that.
Yeah. Well,
were you SpongeBob ever?
I was never SpongeBob. I'm trying to think. We've talked about this. Maybe this is a different episode where we talk about how we were almost Disney adults. Like we're like a half a step away. Yeah. But I never got that far into it. I never was. Yeah, sure. I wonder what my height category would be, like who I would be.
I don't know. Maybe the tall guy from Minions who's what's his name that Steve Carell does the voice
Groot?
like the
Groot? Yeah, that's right.
I almost said that's the guy. I almost said Groot, but that's the guy from
a different thing. That's actually not even Universal. It's actually Disney. Yeah.
Okay, Gru is the he's tall. I don't know what other character because you're pretty tall. Yeah. How tall are you?
6 feet.
Yeah. Well,
tall enough.
You seem tall to me, but I'm 5'1", so most people do seem tall to me.
As with you, the dream is still out there.
It could happen. There are tall characters. Yeah, I was going to say Goofy, but that's Disney. But you could go to Disney.
Yeah.
This podcast will motivate you to pursue that dream.
I'll quit my job.
Well, no, don't do that.
That's right. That's right. I'll quit my job
do a lot more work.
Do that. Right. No, it's kind of like you. So I grew up in small town Mississippi, in a town called So-So, Mississippi, which is right outside of Laurel, Mississippi. Our listeners have probably heard of Laurel through some of the various TV shows and personalities that have come out of there. And I grew up there, graduated high school, went to MC where we met, although I'm a little bit older than you. So we kind of crossed paths. Yeah, well, we crossed paths a couple of times, but then I graduated and got a job at an insurance company working in a call center, which was
riveting,
not fun. Nobody calls a call center just to talk and be nice. It's always because they have a problem. And so that was a hard period. But
I feel like, I bet you were so good at that because you're so good at de-escalating a situation. Like, did you ever have to just kind of, did people ever leave the call feeling a little calmer because of you?
Yeah, well, yes and no. It depends on what answer I gave them. You know, because I'm just answering questions in this situation. I'm not denying claims or approving claims or whatever. And so, you know, if someone's cancer treatment got declined or what have you, then I'm just the messenger. And so they were calmer, but not always happy.
Yeah.
So, you know, so it was not that the company was good. That was just a tough job.
Yeah.
And so I left, I saw a woman who graduated with MC with me. She was working at an agency and I reached out to her and I said, hey, if you guys are hiring, let me know. She said, well, I'm not, but my dad might be. Let me pass your resume along. And that got me a job at the State Chamber of Commerce, where I worked for about 10 years. I learned later, this is not too terribly long ago, that from her dad, that when my resume came in, they had about 4 or 5, and he had asked her about them. And she said, oh, he's really nice. And he's like, well, what kind of work does he do? I don't know, but he's nice. And so nice. That's my, you know, there are worse things to say about a person. Yeah, there are worse things to say about a person. I'm still not good at my job, but I can at least be nice to people.
You're nice.
But that's right. But so I worked there for about 10 years, worked at a different agency, and which was wonderful. Both of those jobs were really great. I got to do some cool stuff. Got to work on some really big projects, like changing the state flag in Mississippi was really cool.
Which is a huge deal, and you were a big part of that. You're not giving yourself enough credit right now.
Well, it was a very much a team effort. We had lots of people working long hours to do that job and get that passed, and people all over the state really invested, and it was time for a change, and I think it was good.
And it was such a huge deal when that happened because it felt like, I'm sure behind the scene, it felt like it all happened so quickly. Like everyone, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because it got attention in the media, and then all these groups and like schools and I mean, major people in the state started speaking up and making noise. But I'm sure you're like, no, it did not happen overnight. There was probably a lot of behind the scenes work that went into that.
Well, and it was also, it just happened. It did sort of happen overnight because we had polled, the chamber had tried to change the flag about 20 years prior, and it did not pass and made people so upset that like people's tires were getting slashed. People that worked at the chamber, they were, their houses were getting vandalized and stuff because people that passionate about it. And then literally overnight, I mean, it was the summer of 2020, which obviously a lot was going on in the world. And it's a weird time. And a lot of things happened kind of at once. And we said, you know what, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so that led into some legislation, which led into a task force, which led into a public referendum vote, which before 2020, I think, I'm going to get these numbers wrong, but public support was like in the 40s. And we got 73% in favorability to change the flag after that summer. So
it
obviously,
did kind of happen quickly.
It did kind of happen overnight.
But I'm sure it was a lot of work for many years that led to that.
Yeah,
moment.
it was some good stuff. But I after that was over, I went to a different agency, which was a great experience for me to learn how to, work and do things in an agency environment. And then one day you said, "Hey, let's get lunch." And
also happened overnight.
Literally also happened overnight. And we met, and there it was.
And you are now our COO.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to admit something right now.
Sure.
I never can remember if COO stands for Chief Operating Officer or Chief Operations Officer.
Okay.
Which feels embarrassing. So I usually just say COO.
Mm-hmm.
It's operating.
Mm-hmm. It is an ING.
I actually looked it up today
Yes,
to make sure I said it right. But then I thought, you know what? I bet if we polled the general public, I bet a lot of people don't know if it's operating or operations, because those two things can kind of mean the same thing.
Oh yeah, it's the same thing, and also it's the chief operating officer. It's the chief problem solver. It's the chief, hey, let's do it. Let's start a podcast.
Come
officer.
on.
Yeah, like there's lots of different
Chief
hats
get dragged into everything.
That's right.
Officer.
That's right. Chief, hey, I have an idea. Officer.
The chief yes man.
Yeah, that's right. So, but no, it's been a really good 18 months now almost.
Yeah. It's been really good. You've kind of changed. I mean, I've talked about it a lot, but More Media before you came had no direction. When Will and I had lunch to talk about if he was even going to come to More Media, you said, well, talk to me about your 5-year plan. And I said, I don't have a 5-year plan. I didn't really plan to be to this point. And you were like, well, I have one. And you pulled out on paper, typed out, printed out 5-year plan for a company you didn't even work for.
Because I'm a loser.
You were like,
this is a problem.
And I was like, oh, great. Come work for me. But even if you don't, I now have a 5-year plan.
In hindsight, I probably should have waited, but it's fine.
No, it's really, you've changed More Media for the better, because now I do feel like there's a lot of direction. There's some systems in place that weren't there before. I'm much more the dreamer, big picture, let's go do it kind of person. Let's start a podcast. Here we are. We have other things to be doing, but we're doing this because it's more fun.
Yeah, it is more fun.
And you're much more the, hey, we have to pay the bills, so let's do these things first to make sure that gets done. But I feel like we balance each other out, and I do feel like we've done some really great work together. It's been fun, and this podcast is just the next fun little chapter of it.
Oh yeah, I've really appreciated, and I know this is not. It is sort of our time to talk. So, but I'll say I was working a lot whenever you reached out to me. And so part of you are, yes, the dreamer, but you're also like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. Why are you emailing at 6:30 PM?
Leave me alone. I'm trying to make dinner for my family.
Yeah. Why are you texting me? And it's that sort of brought me back down to earth. And I'm really grateful for this opportunity.
Well, I'm glad you're here, but I'm glad you brought that up, because that is one of the things too, that I want this podcast to be about. Is there are several career focused podcasts out there, and that's not exactly what this is. We are talking a lot about careers and chasing dreams, but I don't feel like you can separate your career and your home life and your personal life. It really all flows together. This isn't, like Severance, which I talk about Severance like I've ever watched Severance.
Right.
We both know I have not watched a single episode of Severance, but I know the concept, and I've been talking about watching Severance for like 3 years. So I'm almost ready. I'm about to get there. I think when they come out with the next season, which will probably be a long time, I'll probably jump in.
You should watch it.
Because I'm very intrigued by the concept. I'm going to do it.
I haven't seen the second season, so I'm not that far ahead of you.
Well, see, I even know part of what happens in the second season because my algorithm knows I'm interested in it, so I've seen little clips. This happens with a lot of shows. I'm also scared to watch Stranger Things, but I know the entire plot because I've watched clips that my algorithm feeds me, because it thinks that I watch it.
I see.
And then I keep watching them, but I'm scared to watch the actual show, but I want to know what happens.
You would
That's how
love
I feel. I'm a chicken. So even what's the word people say when they don't say the show is scary, they'll say it's suspenseful. To me, that is scary. So,
right.
But I do think I'm not going to do Stranger Things, but I know how it ends. I did look it up and read it. Handmaid's Tale, same way. I'll never watch it, but I was very intrigued by the plot, so I know how that one ends. But Severance is one I do think I'm going to watch. Anyway, what I was saying was life, we can't split into work life and home life. And I feel like it all affects each other. And the people that we interview on this podcast, I want to talk about how those two things go together, because you can't, it affects your mental health. It affects you only have so many hours in a day. You only have so much focus to give and energy to give. And so that's something I hope we get into with our guests as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Not just the career, but all of it together and how it all works together.
This episode is sponsored by Fuse.cloud. Fuse.cloud delivers technology solutions to thousands of businesses across the country. We've used them for internet at our office for years, and we couldn't be happier. Their customer service is seriously top-notch.
Yeah, we don't often have issues, but whenever we do, they're always immediately ready to jump in and help. We love these guys so much that we even named our password after one of their team members for a while.
Yeah, Ben is the bomb.
And our clients were always so confused, like, who's Ben?
And while you aren't required to reference their team in your password, you should look into using Fuse.cloud for your business and internet needs.
They also offer other services like voice and managed IT, and they're based right here at home in Jackson, Mississippi.
Check them out online at Fuse.cloud. That's FUSE.CLOUD.
So we came up with questions to ask each other for this.
Yes,
first
we did.
Get to know you, even though we did just kind of do a little get to know you. This will be the more rapid fire.
That's right.
To know you. So I'm going to ask you first.
Okay.
And then I guess I can answer after.
Okay.
First, we'll kind of transition from podcast talk. So what are your hopes for this podcast? For more on that.
I want to talk to some cool people, which sounds, that's kind of a gimme answer. But some of the guests that we've got coming up with this batch and in the future have some really cool stories, and I'm excited about that. And I also think that, you mentioned an algorithm earlier, and how we all become so insulated with what our algorithms show us and what you get busy. You and I both have children. It's time is valuable and scarce a lot of times. And so we kind of get in bubbles. And so I'd love to hear, cool stories, cool stuff people are doing, and really maybe I'll find a dream that I'd like to pursue.
There you go. Yeah. And we'll follow along on the journey.
That's right.
And you can just take us with us, take the listeners, and then we'll chase your dream together.
That's right. What about you?
I kind of said it earlier, but I do hope that that we have some listeners. So let's start there. I hope we have a few listeners.
That's right.
And I hope at least one of them is inspired by one of the stories that they hear on this
right.
podcast. I just want to put some positivity and good energy into the world. So I hope we do that. But two, I just think it's going to be fun. I hope we have fun. I mean, I think this is a fun creative outlet for us to pursue and get to talk to these people. And I don't want this to be a task. I want it to be something that you and I enjoy doing too.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, who would be your dream guest?
Ooh, this one, when we were talking about questions to ask, this one gave me some heartburn. I am a big nerd. And so,
as we will, they'll come to know.
You'll find out. You'll find out. In
the best way.
That's right. I feel like different parts of my personality, like which answer do you want? I feel like a dream guest for me would be, someone of stature and importance. Barack Obama would be a cool guest, right?
Yeah.
But that's such
that'll be maybe in like a month or two.
Yeah, that's the next. This episode 3, 4, 5. We'll get there. But I feel, there's a lot of people doing a lot of cool stuff in, we'll get to this at some point in the future, probably. As I mentioned, I'm a big nerd. Lots of Dungeons and Dragons has seen a resurgence. And so there's some people there. Matthew Mercer is a really cool person. You don't know who that is, but you will one day.
He's a gamer?
He's a dungeon master. He's a voice actor.
A dungeon master?
Yeah, that's part of Dungeons and Dragons. We'll get you there.
Okay. I kind of want to get there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
He'd be cool. He's a cool guy. What about you?
I hope we have him on. I'm going to have to do some research before we have him on. I don't want to embarrass you.
No, he's great.
So, my answer. Mm-hmm. It is Amy Poehler.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
My queen, my icon. Right. I love Amy Poehler. I love her comedy. I love her acting. I love her podcast. I love her writing. I love her book. Love everything about her. I've told you, if I ever get a death wish, if I'm in a coma, Tyler knows this. My husband knows this. If I'm ever granted a wish for someone to come meet me, I want Amy Poehler to come and take my hand and talk to me. And so, she's my dream guest. I just want to talk to her. I don't even have to ask her any questions. I just want to sit and listen to her talk. I just love her so much. I think she brings so much good into the world.
And her podcast is fun. You mentioned, I want to go back to the other question. What are my hopes for the podcast? If ours can be like a quarter of as much fun as hers is.
Good hang.
Yeah, good hang. It was good.
Okay.
What do you think about while you drive or run or exercise? Like when it's just you and the windshield or you and the trail or the road.
So there's two extremes to this. Well, a lot of times I'm either listening to a book or a podcast, and I'm pretty good about, my mind doesn't usually wander if I'm listening to a book or podcast. I can lock in and listen. But sometimes I listen to music, and if I listen to music, my mind does wander. Mm-hmm. And so it's either the very simple, my to-do list, because I am a business owner and mom of 3 and general human in 2026. Right. And the to-do list just never ends.
Sure.
So it is like, oh, I got to get this for dinner. Oh, the kids have this dress-up day at school this week. Oh, there's this, I've got the party this weekend. Like there's always something. But also things like this podcast. Yeah. This probably came about from a run, that there's kind of big, those dreams and things we think about and things we've talked about a lot on this episode. I think on, and I say maybe drives too, but usually on runs is when I kind of think of like, oh, I'd like to do this, or stuff with more media, like big picture stuff for us. So it is very two extremes, but those are my two things.
Yeah. To-do list is a big one for me. I have made very good use of like the audio note taking apps and stuff like that as I run or as I drive. Just, hey, remember at 1:30 I got to do this or that, or I will think through, a piece of creative that we're doing for a client or something like that and really like hash it out in the moment. Sometimes when I drive, I will get in my car and then I'm just appear at the place that I'm going and I don't remember getting there. I'll just like zone out. That's probably unsafe,
terrifying.
But that does happen. Yeah, I also listen to music really loud, so that's too loud probably.
What kind of music?
See, this is another nerd path. Very music you wouldn't like, I'll say that.
It's like screamo?
Screaming, scary,
for the guests,
heavy music.
For the listeners, Will was a emo goth. Would we say goth in high school? Emo, we would say emo. But you had straight, long hair, swooping hair.
Yes. Very much so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's
so
been,
still listening to the same music.
That's right. The hair was a thing. The skinny jeans, the band T-shirts, which I still all of that still applies.
Bring it back.
But it's still there. It's lots of that too. So
I listen to like musicals.
That's another, I'll take on one hat or take off this hat, put on this hat. I also love a musical. So.
I love a musical. And talk about inspiring and pulling out the emotions.
Well, you recently saw Hadestown.
I saw Hadestown this past weekend. Yeah. So good. One of the best I've ever seen. And I really didn't know, it wasn't that it wasn't on my radar, but it wasn't on my like, I just have to see this. But it was coming to New Orleans. My college friends and I like to go when shows we want to see come to New Orleans or Memphis because they're both very accessible. And so we were like, let's go see that one. Oh my gosh, I was blown away. And the cast was amazing. Like every singer it brought tears to my eyes. It was such a good show. So good.
This is not a question that we had, but what's your favorite musical that you've seen? Not your favorite overall, but like that you've actually seen.
Well, I actually was thinking about this after I saw Hadestown because I've seen about 20. I was kind of trying to add up the ones I've seen. So I think because of nostalgia, that Wicked has a very big place in my heart.
Sure.
I saw it when I was 16 in New York. It was really what pulled me into the musical theater world. And that's what made me Elphaba's defined. And I didn't know anything about it. I was in New York with my friend and she was like, hey, we're going to go see Wicked. And like, she had gotten the tickets and I was like, oh, is it scary? Is it suspenseful? I didn't know anything at all I wasn't in that world. And it was pretty new then. It was only a couple of years old. Yep. And we went and saw it and just Defying Gravity is what is literally that performance alone is what pulled me into the musical theater world. So I think that one I have to say is my favorite for the nostalgia. But the best I've seen, there's just so many good ones. I love Rent.
Rent is very good.
Loved West Side Story is also a classic. But then like Hadestown and Hamilton and Six, these more like modern ones are also really fun and cool. And I feel like bringing more people into the musical theater world that weren't in it before. I can't answer it. I really can't. It's like I need a lot of categories to pick a best up.
I've only seen, I think, like 5 maybe or 6. Hamilton is so good live. It's so good.
It's next level.
But the one that sticks out, now, of course, I was in like the 7th grade when I saw this, but The Lion King is so good.
It is good. I took Tyler. Tyler wasn't really big into musical theater, and that was one of the first I took him to see. And then he did fall in love with Hamilton, and now he'll come see shows with me when I drag him to them. Another one that I don't feel like it's talked about enough, or maybe it does, and it's just I'm not in the right circles, but Come From Away. New Stage Theater here in Jackson did it, and it was so good, and their cast did it so well. Like, it was a really good, that's one that I saw that I was like, I want to bring my mom and sisters to see this. I want to bring Tyler to see this because I saw it with my friends. And it's one that I was like, I will see it over and over again to pull other people I love into seeing it because it was so good.
That's cool. And this just becomes a musical theater podcast.
Yeah, there we go. This is now a musical theater.
That's right.
Hey, I could do that. That'll be the next one.
That's right.
Okay, this is a fun question. What conspiracy theories do you believe in?
I don't know. Well, you have a fun conspiracy theory story as well.
Oh, do I?
Well, with your reporting, and I don't know if you consider.
I wasn't even going to tell that story.
Okay, well,
it is a good.
It is a good.
Well, now we have to.
Yeah, now we have to. But mine, I don't know that I believed in any until I went to Stonehenge, and I'm sure there's like 50 different.
We've never talked about this. I've been to Stonehenge.
It's so good. The Stonehenge, there's no way people moved that stuff, like put those into place. It's 100% aliens or something.
But do we think they could have just been there when the world became?
Sure, because aliens put them there.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not a big aliens or whatever type guy, but there are some things that are just
aliens type guy.
It's probably, yeah. So anyway, that's aliens, yeah.
So mine's kind of like that in that I don't believe it enough to say I believe this.
Sure.
This isn't my news story. This is just my conspiracy theory answer. But I find the moon landing. That's what I want to talk about here for a minute. So I'm not going to say we didn't land on the moon. I'm not going to say it. But isn't it strange that we supposedly did this in the 60s.
1969.
And haven't done it again. Like, couldn't we just prove it? Like, there's all these people saying, just prove it. Just prove it. Just go back one more time and prove it. Isn't it weird in the way technology and space exploration have progressed that we haven't just gone back? It's weird, right?
I mean, I feel like there's not really a value. And like, what are we going to... We kind of know what we know about the moon.
That's not a good reason. Think of all the pointless things that everyone does.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair enough. Yeah,
spends money on that don't have value.
That's true.
I don't know. I'm not saying it didn't happen.
Yeah, I'm not there with you.
I'm not saying it didn't happen, but it's a conspiracy theory for a reason because there's enough evidence there to be like, let's just go and prove it. Just, you know what? Okay. Just go up there one time. Just show us. Just show us. So this is a question that we're going to ask each guest. We've decided we're going to ask every guest this. So what is your more on that? So you're something that you secretly love getting asked about, you love talking about, that you hoped we would talk about today. That can mean whatever you want to mean.
Sure.
What is your more on that?
Well, we talked about, I've let the audience in a little bit. I'm guarded usually about my nerdiness and my musical tastes and
you need to own it. Lean into
but I
it.
have like an encyclopedic knowledge of a lot of that stuff, and so I could have podcast. I mean, I had a Liverpool podcast. It's a very like those niche like 5 listener. Like this
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. No, they have a lot of listeners actually. That's a whole different world you don't even know
Early
about.
2000s emo bands.
Yeah, no, that's a thing.
That could be one.
Yeah, we could do all that. That is my let's go. If you're willing to talk about it, I've got all day.
Okay, mine's a little more serious.
Mine's not. What are you saying?
I'm sorry.
It wasn't a phase. Emo is very serious.
It is serious. I'm so sorry. You're right. My thing that I love to talk about and could talk endlessly about is being a mom, a working mom. I love talking to other women who are succeeding in their careers and also just killing it at home with their families. Because it's something that I love so much. I love being a mom. I have 3 kids. I'll probably talk about being a mom at some point in every episode because, you probably get sick of hearing about my kids. It's such a huge part of my life. But I also love my career and I love what I do. And I love that, and I feel very lucky that with More Media and with you coming on as COO, it has given me the freedom to do both in the capacity that I want to do them. Like I leave at 3 every day and pick up my kids from school and spend the afternoons with them. I will be fully remote in the summer so I can be home with them. And so I think that is something I feel passionately about because I think there's a lot of women that feel very much like they have to choose, especially during certain seasons. And even if they don't blatantly choose one or the other, they feel like they have to choose which one to give more of their time and energy to. And I think it's difficult, but I do think there's a way to mesh the career world and the motherhood world together it definitely ebbs and flows. I mean, there's times when work takes more priority and there's time when home life takes more priority. But I think that it's just something I care a lot about. And I could talk about every day.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun. So just logistics, we are going to be releasing every other week. You can hopefully listen to us every other week talking to guests. Hopefully you don't listen to this episode and then decide never to come back again. But we'll be talking to a lot of really cool people, much cooler than us, who've done really awesome things and sharing that with you. And you can keep up with us online and on social media.
All online, yeah.
And we'll be back next time.
Absolutely.
This may be obvious, but More on That is sponsored in part by our company, More Media Group. We're a full-service marketing and public relations agency located in Jackson, Mississippi. We offer help with public relations, advertising, social media, branding, and website design.
Yeah, if it falls under the marketing umbrella, we can help. Our team has worked with clients across several industries, including tourism, healthcare, economic development, higher ed, food and beverage, and more.
If you think we'd be a good fit, check us out at themoremediagroup.com. That's more with 2 O's. Before we go, we want to give one more thank you to our presenting sponsor, Community Bank. Whether you're looking for personal or business banking, Community Bank is the place to go.
They're helpful, responsive, and always updating their services to provide the very best banking options to their customers. Visit communitybank.net to learn more. Member FDIC.